question goes directly to Honorable Kashimune with regards to legislation and how that can bring about any meaningful change. Our country is very notorious for legislating for things and not budgeting for them. A case in point is the Whistleblowers Protection Act. It was passed, and then you would hear that there is no money to protect whistleblowers. So you spoke about discussions that are before Parliament to declare youth unemployment a crisis or an emergency, and then probably do something about that in terms of legislation. But we know that the country is broke. The national debt ratio is hovering around 75%, meaning that for every $100 that we produce, $75 is not ours. So if you do not have the fiscal space or latitude to implement all those noble principles of state policy, for example, mandate the state to bring about all these good things, welfare of the people and the like. And then at one point there's a particular clause or article in the constitution that says only within the confines of available resources. So it then kind of abrogates the state from that responsibility, doesn't it? So
I think we have.
I think you have the gist of what I'm trying to
Article 95.
You mentioned something like you give opportunities and other initiatives to the 14 regions to benefit the youth. So my question is, we are aware that such resources are working to the detriment of the youth. Is there any modalities that you put into place or any sort of maybe report that you receive annually or monthly to make sure that such resources are benefiting all the youth within regions?
Yes.
Thank you.
A question, no, I have only comments, because question is two. One, the Ministry of Youth is taking up the budget of NYC. Because number one, you have the credit use scheme. The ministry have a credit use scheme and the ministry set office. Common sense will prevail on that. Either just give that flat money to NYC so that they can operate on that thing. I think that's one of the things maybe the minister is watching. Please do that. That will really make sure that even my comrade there is asking that question, then you will give more money to those opportunities to those youths who are not getting the money, because now we are giving also the resources are just going to, we are just putting more resources instead of going to where the resources are needed to go. Two, there's a bank called Development Bank of Namibia. I remember very well when I was still a youth. But I'm not more a youth. We made sure, now I'm telling you, George, the way to understand. We made sure that the Ministry of Finance be a guarantor to the GPN, so that when youth come to GPN, I get opportunities to get loans. I guarantee you now they have not got 0. And the person who's even leading that bank is also a youth, is younger than me. For God's sake, please speak to them. You are speak to them. Where is that guarantee? Where is that guarantee? The very, very, very Tibet is a very, very important.
It was limited to 2 interventions. If I allow you, I must allow everybody else. We'll come back. Be exactly.
I was wondering if there are collaborations between the Ministry of Poverty Eradication, the Ministry of Youth, and the NYC, because I know, or there ought to be little segments of the budget allocated for youth empowerment. Do you guys collaborate? Do you have a united or little kiddie bag that you guys have together, like Brian said, instead of allocating the funds in little segments in different areas rather than having one big kiddie bag for all the youth? Second, well, the next statement was, I think Honorable Max mentioned that in most instances, motions are passed but are never carried through. So I just want to urge the youth and the nation at large that to ensure that this motion is carried forth or seen through, it's our prerogative to ensure that when you go vote, we ensure that your voice is represented and this individual can be there to see it through. You get what I mean? So vote wisely. You don't have to blindly go to whoever your grandmother voted for.
My question goes to Mr. Maxwell. Knowing that we have a small population in Namibia with more than a lot of political parties, which the youth are becoming victims of these political parties because they are the forefront, which have to represent them. We have at least less than 2.5 million people in Namibia. Do you think it's fair enough to ask them all these many political parties? Plus, what role does opposition political parties play? Do they only exist for political party fund allowance? Or are they going to affect policy? Because purple is the I don't understand why, because purple is leading in 2 years, and we have more than 15 political parties. So what role opposition parties play? The other one goes to Mr. Dorokaze. This is most of the Chinese operations. What role does NAMRA play in Chinese trade and operations? Knowing that Chinese don't pay tax, they don't bank in our banks, they want to guarantee when I was a kid, I bought a radio from the Chinese people broke it out of
The question was directed to the chairperson of the AFM Church. I come to know that the government, through the Ministry of Youth and the credit scheme for the young people and NYC as well as one. But both of them are on hold. So my question is, when this is going to be open? When are these credit schemes going to be finalized and open? Because there are a lot of entrepreneurs, I feel in our church who want to apply for these schemes, and they've been on hold for a long time.
My question is directed to NAMRA. So the order with the business industry has been on longer than NAMRA existed. This has been a platform for young people to be able to earn an income with the ever-increasing statistics on unemployment. Now, the reason that events, went out of control after the 10th of May incident was young people have always struggled to procure jobs, and now their order with me was the source of bread and butter, as our moderator explained. I think what NAMRA is forgetting the narrative that was spread was that order with me is a source of income for young people. And burning, those things, even though, like I said, narrative was contrary to what we thought, is a way of showing young people that there is an institution like Chinatown. For years they have counterfeit products. Yeah. Government has not cared. Yeah. But at this time that young people are engaging in this industry, and the more unemployment is increasing, the more that informal industry is growing. NAMRA has acted very unfriendly towards young people that have gone into this industry, forced by the level of jobs to be able to earn themselves an income. So my question now is, if you go to Chinatown even today, tomorrow, you will see that there are counterfeit goods there. In fact, they even tell you don't take pictures because they know that those things that they are selling are counterfeit. And I think somebody asked the previous question, but it was not answered, in my opinion. And it is that what has NAMRA done to physically hold Chinatown accountable, even after the uproar, regardless of whether the narrative was right or wrong.
Joseph Stalin said, elections are not won by those who vote, but those who count the votes. So whatever you do, vote whatever you want to say. So what I want to hear from Mr. Kashmori is that we had we still have it, the National Housing Innovation. national emergency, if I'm correct. Right? So the first question is that we had that, and the government was not held accountable, right? People went on without housing. The housing crisis was not solved. How do we then hold the government accountable, not only through legislation, because that's only talking in the parliament? Can we go on to another branch of government, maybe to the judiciary, where we can even sue the government for not implementing the emergency? Now the other one is to Mr. Ndorokade. Don't you think there was a better way to counter the narrative that you mentioned that was, being propelled by the media? Because Namra to say that, calm down, guys. There's only 10% of order with me, and it came from 20 years ago, 7 years ago. The other one is for Mr. Bush. How many percent of percentage of the capital is invested in IT? In terms of now assisting the kids or the youth that is involved in IT business. Thank you.
From government, that's actually your view, start up a business and start up other things. And also, another thing that I wanted to ask for Namra. Ladies and gentlemen, a Chinese national pours urine on a black patient, it gets 1,000, right? Amushelano goes out and says that, guys, we need to stop water in Chinatown. He gets what? Arrested. And today, this is what? In here. Chinatown is not paying tax, but then they have got their own counterfeit goods. Still right now, unjust. But everyone got as a black patient, will you say, guys, order with me? So, now I'm going to refund those things that we pay. Because people pay 3,000 for iPhone. People pay money for their those things. And they want to be refunded. And how do we solve that problem? Because personally, we also know some things. We want that, but then you think, no, it's not your first time come because you guys bring the things. So, how do we walk down accountability? How do we walk together accountability?
Good evening. My name is Wenji Rokita from Roma Region and a student at NOST as well. So my question is to Mr. Honorable Kashmiri. So we see what you're doing by bringing awareness to the youth unemployment, and as a student, as I mentioned, and as an unemployed youth as well. So my question is, how will the government create jobs if it doesn't build firms, if it doesn't build hospitals, if it doesn't constantly deliver services, if it doesn't expand its departments and state-owned enterprises? The lower the economic development, the lower job creation. Now that's basic economics. The demand for jobs is high, but the supply is low. Meaning there are more people looking for jobs, but there is a shortage of firms and workers to accommodate those people. So by just using demand and supply, I know that politicians are just lying by talking about job creation. So please, Mr. Kashmiri, speak me on this. Let me speak.
They told in the beginning that it's supposed to be non-political, but I can see the maneuver system here to the anti-so-called government. I'm not going to entertain it, but I'm going to say the solution to the Namibian problems and to the youth problems does not relay in the change of political parties, but it relates to the change of the mindset of us, the young people. My number one point will be in accordance with Article 10 of the Namibian Constitution, that we are supposed to treat everybody equally. Now we have a situation among us, the youth, especially those now that are in this house, that those that cut the wings of others would blame others for not flying. Why am I saying this? We have got people that are representing the agenda of young people in high offices, but instead of them to make the policies and regulations poor people or poor young people friendly, they drive to the location to Afilan, to Havana, to Stop and Shop, and change away the people that, or the young people that are trying to make a living, and try to help or to narrow the gap of youth unemployment in the country. But they were in offices, capacitated, given power, mandate, authority in them to make sure that the policies and the formulation of policies have checked to make sure that those people can make a living and not to front the government and say, give us a job, because I'm sure not everyone is going to be employed by the government. So I'm in short saying, let the young people that are representing us in offices, especially the seat of Vinduk, and then most of them that are having, let the young people, or at least try to make sure that the line of climbing the ladder to get licenses to sell in seat of Vinduk or make some informal businesses is easy for poor people, especially in informal areas. Yeah. My number two point is that we are Article 127 of the Namibian Constitution say, if the laws, especially our legislators, our young parliamentarians, if the laws are not poor young people friendly, repeal them. Yeah.
What is today's level of revenue collection that we have inherited from the previous ministry department, to which we would have to hold you accountable, or maybe have hope that now that we have NAMRA, there will be an increase in that revenue collection in what could be possibly the latter that we have put for yourself. So this so that we can maybe, after a term, we say, no, we need you, or we do not need you again. Honorable, you have mentioned the state of emergency as one way to deal with youth unemployment. But currently, the law allows for a period of 6 months to be declared by the president, and maybe after that go to the parliament to possibly extend. I'm trying to get the interventions, the possible interventions that would be long-term solution to youth employment within the period given by that suggestion.
If the motion is successful.
If the motion is successful. Because the example that we have given is to get maybe money from those companies that are making too much money now. Would that be a long-term solution for youth employment? The statement, young leaders, young MPs, you have the Youth Act, in which includes the youth fund. The youth fund that has to come with the National Youth Council Act. If you want to organize an Arab Spring that would maybe an Arabian Spring, please try and organize a spring that would compel the government to put money into that obligatory youth fund that is
So my thanks to the NYC is that I think the reason why a number of businesses are failing and leading to a lot of young people being unemployed is because the economic dynamics are not conducive enough. In terms of a friendly economic that allows local companies to fairly compete with multinationals. I think this has now to do with the issue around our importing of stuff. I think we need to be regulated somewhere there. Like I think we need to focus our dynamics towards there, because currently I don't think we lack the skills or the funding. The funding is there, but you get a business that gets the funding but will not last even for 3 years because the market is not conducive enough at all. So we need to change the dynamics in order for the government to regulate the economic space whereby we know that if we provide funding for our youth, we know that they can succeed into the market, because currently we are just wasting money. We are funding a business that we know is not going to make it, because we know ShopRite is going to be down with the Mulu's home shop. We know that for sure. So we need to change the dynamics from only focusing we need to enable our youth with skills and funding. Skills and funding, yes, we need that, but also the market where we want to send these people needs to be conducive. That's all. Thank you very much.
First suggestion is going to NAMRA. NAMRA, what education? First, I have to ask you, what education that you give to the nation about the platforms and the guidance on how to import and order equipment, rather than just to destroy their equipment and their orders. And I think you need to come up with a program which is giving people information how to order, what are the strategies that you need to go through, so that they cannot find themselves in the difficulty that you brought to them. And the other suggestion is going to National Youth Council. Please come up with a youth entrepreneurship programs, which is engaging you with business mentors and business coaches within Namibia and countrywide and worldwide. Because we have a brilliant youth within rural area who want to come up with a business which can boost up our GDP. But the problem is only the information. They are not access to information they are not access to right people that can boost them up so that their business can come on board. Please come up with this program, and I want this program to start next year. Yes, this is the best way to empower you in terms of entrepreneurs. Please let us engage with those successful people in America. How can we engage them? We'll get through you. Let's program come on board next year. I want